So tip number 1 is the quick access to recently used file. For example, I just opened up a Blender project, so I want to go to my recent project that I last opened. So I'm going to go over here into File, then Open Recent. So File, Open Recent, and the shortcut key is Shift Control O. And then as you can see, it's going to open. You're going to see all of the recently used project that you have been working on. So I'm going to go here into this one over here. It says if you want to save this, I'm not going to save this. And as you can see, open the recently used file. Now this is super useful as it increases the speed of your workflow, so you do not have to go into your file explorer and then just go navigate around your file. So this is very helpful. So let's head on to tip number 2. So tip number 2 is adding tools to your quick favorite menu. So as you can see, if you press Q on your number, it says quick favorites, no menu items found, because there's no items in our quick favorites yet because I haven't added any. So to add stuff to your quick favorites, we can just do, for example, go into a tool or press this cube, right click, and it will say over here somewhere, add to quick favorites. But as you can see, it's not gonna say anything right here because it's not like an action that you can actually do. So we're gonna go, let's just say we're gonna go over here. So we're gonna quickly do this, move, right click, and it says add to quick favorite. That is what it will say, add to quick favorites. Now that's done. Now you can press Q, it will says quick favorite, and then it says move. That is literally how you would add tools and actions to your quick favorites. So for example, we're gonna go over here and it says add modifier. So we're gonna just right click and it says add quick favorites, and then we're gonna go over here, done that, Q, add modifier. So we're gonna go over here and it says we can see the origin point right now. That's gonna be the move tool. So Q, add modifier, and then you can add a modifier directly from here, generate subdivision surface modifier, and as you can see, that looks perfect. So that is the power of the quick favorites menu. So let's head on to tip number 3. So tip number 3 is that you can render specific regions in your scene. For example, I've been working on this project and I want to render a specific scene. So what I'm going to do here is zoom in, and I wanted to let's just say I want to render his mouth over here. I will just do Control B and then quickly just mark this area, and then once you have done that, you can just do render, and then you render your image. Now the only time it would not work is that you have a camera binding set or you have a camera in your scene. So right now I have a camera in my scene and it wouldn't work unless you're gonna do some specific things. So that is tip number 3. Let's on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is the quick access to your modes. As you can see, if you go over here, once you clicked on your cube, we know that we have object mode, edit mode, scope mode, and the various different modes. Now, if you want to quickly go into different types of mode, it's quite difficult by just going over here and then clicking that. You can do that if you want to, but there's a faster way. For example, we want to go into edit mode, you can just press tab, and we'll just go from edit mode back to into object mode. Now, another way is the pie menu. Now, if you do Control Tab, you'll see this quick pie. Now, this is switching between your different modes: your weight paint mode, object mode, sculpt mode, edit mode, texture paint mode, and vertex paint mode. And it's quite simple. So let's go sculpt mode, edit mode, and it's quite easy and it's super effective to go through. It's just you don't have to go over here and then go there. You can just do Control Tab and go into weight paint mode. Now this is a quite simple one, but if you memorize where the specific, you can just do this eyes closed. You can switch between modes with your eyes closed without even doing anything because you know specifically where they are. And as you can see, they have some numbers as well. So you can just do Control Tab and then press 8 to go into your vertex paint mode. Those numbers are super useful. That was tip number 4. Let's move on to tip number 5. Tip number 5, the shortcuts to your orthographic views. Now you're going to be like this thinking, who doesn't know the shortcuts? Now trust me, I have seen people do Blender and they're going to be going over here into view, then they're going to go over down here to viewport, and then to your various different orthographic views. Now that is a waste of time. You just need to know your shortcuts. So numpad 1 is your front orthographic view, numpad 3 is your right orthographic view. As you can see on the top left, it says over here right orthographic view, and then numpad 7 is your top, and all the numbers in between gives you your user perspective view. So that is tip number 5. Moving on to tip number 6. The next tip is the annotations tool. So if we go over here and let's quickly just zoom in over to our decimal point on the numpad, we're going to go over here and just press your D button, and then we can just press the left mouse button. Then we can literally annotate. For example, I can annotate over here 90 degrees. This is super useful to make some annotations on your scene to remind yourself of stuff. For example, if you had a large scene, you can just say something like this, that HDRI needs to be red, or something like that. HDRI arrow needs to be red. So for example, if you go over here, then you see over here, oh, I made annotation HDRI needs to be red. Then you can change it. So it's like notes for you as a developer or an animator. So then if you remove your annotation, you can go over here, press N. I can go over here to view and annotations. We can, as you can see, you can create a new note. We're gonna say over here, rename it to annotations. And then we can change the opacity, so how see-through is it, like this, and how thick it is. Okay, if it's really thick, not thick at all, and if it's onion skin, if you want it to be onion skin. Okay, and you can also add new, or you can actually remove them as well. So that is the annotations tool. So let's move on to our next tip. So our next tip is when we need to isolate some objects in our scene, so it's going to be easier for us to work with. So it's going to avoid us distractions in our scene. For example, if it's a massive scene and you need to be working on only one object and you're getting distracted by all of the environment, what we can do is just press the / button on your keyboard. So /, and as you can see, it's going to zoom in and it's going to isolate, so the camera and the point light is gone and we're only left with our cube. And then we can just press / again and we're going to be back. We do the same thing with our camera, / and other objects are going to go, and it's super useful when we're modeling and we need to isolate one of the objects. And you can also do that for multiple objects. Just like multiple objects and then press the / button. So let's head on to our next tip. The next tip I'm going to share is how to quickly reset your object transformation. So as you can see, we have our boring little cube, and let's quickly scale it, rotate a bunch of times, and let's grab it over here. So rotate it. So then once you have done that, let's just say I'm not happy with this location. I want to reset its location, so it's going to be right over here in the center of the world origin. You could just do Alt-G to reset its location, okay? Alt-G to reset its location. And you could do the same. You could do the same with the rotation and the scale. So Alt-R to reset its rotation, and Alt-S to reset its scale. And that is super useful. If you're not happy with one of the transformations, you can just do Alt-G, Alt-S, or Alt-R. I'm going to show you how to quickly add a camera to your view. For example, we have our camera here and we want to reposition it. Now, the most people, what they would do is go into camera view, to press numpad 0 to go into camera view, and then they will do shift tilde key and then use WASD, or use the G key to move it around. But we are professionals and we do not do that. What you would do is just move your viewport display where you want the camera to be. So I want my camera to be right like this. And then once you have done that, you will press Control Alt numpad 0, and then it will put that camera in your viewport display. And super easy. For example, I want to be like this, Control Alt numpad 0, and you can see it's going to reposition your camera view to your viewport display. So that is our tip. Let's move on to the next one. So the last tip I'm going to talk about are the shortcuts for our edit mode. So we're going to go and tab into our edit mode. And as you can see, we're going to go over here and quickly move the toolbar something like this. And as you can see, you're going to see some of the tools over here in our edit mode. Now what you can do is that you can just hover over it and it's going to say what that tool does. Extrude region, it says extrude freely along an axis, and then it tells you the shortcut key. I suggest that you should remember some of the shortcut keys, like loop cut is Control R, bevel is Control B, the easy ones, and then I is for inset faces. And then you could just hover over them. If you don't know what they do, hover over them and it will tell you what it will do, like shrink, flatten selected vertices along normal. So Alt S to do that. And it's super useful. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in my next video.